losing more than 1,000 points.
Back it up. Right there.
David. Our Ariel Reshef leading us off on a story she's been covering from the start. Thank you. The other major story tonight, coronavirus. More than 50 cases here in the U.S. and global fears growing. And today, the Dow plunging, losing more than 1,000 points, its worst day in 2 years, wiping out this year's gains completely. The virus tonight now jumping to Europe. In fact, a new cluster we're following in Italy. At least 219 cases, and tonight at least 12 towns are on lockdown. They are still trying to figure out who is patient zero, who brought it there. While here in the U.S., growing alarm, and now a number of communities saying, do not bring your patients to our hometowns. We're live on Wall Street tonight and overseas.
That's pretty cold and ruthless, don't you think? That's about as unhumanitarian as you get. That's like finding somebody on the side of a road somewhere bleeding to death and saying, we're not going to give blood to this individual because we don't like them, we don't understand them, and we don't want them around here. You talk about prejudice, you talk about discriminatory laws being broken. Whoever made that statement towards not wanting to bring the patients here, wow. That goes beyond unmercifully. That is absolutely appalling. And don't get me wrong, I understand the dangers. I understand the concerns. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born last night. I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. I understand the concerns, but also understand that, what if we would have caught the disease first over here? And everybody wanted to ban us towards not going to other parts of the world, towards flights, and here we are over here dying in mass groves, and China and other parts of the world, including Mexico and Canada, tells us, hey, don't bring your patients over here. We don't want it. Do you realize how much of a daggum ruckus that would kick up towards the activists, the people that stand up for the Constitution here in America? How many people would be kicking up about that if that was vice versa? And like I said, don't get me wrong, I realize the cautiousness of it. I've said that from the get-go. Whenever I first started documenting this, give or take about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, whenever it first broke, I don't know, it may have been a little longer than that. What is it, middle of, it's been a month ago. Yeah, it's been at least 30 days ago, whenever it first broke over here. I think it was the first or second week of January that it broke over here. Now we're in the third week of February. So yeah, it's been 30 days. But whenever I first started broadcasting this out to the general public, first of all, I was leery about broadcasting it because what went on up in Martin, Tennessee, towards falsifying files. I didn't want to start a panic and think, well, here these people are going to come and try to put charges on me again towards the same thing, towards trying to start a panic. So I was very, very leery within the first 24 hours of even putting this information out on my YouTube channels. But I did. I let Homeland Security know that if it increased with the numbers over in China, that I would be forced to have to put out information about this towards trying to prevent or save lives. That's kind of like a while ago, I had a police officer come up here from Weakley County Sheriff's Department that was giving me farewell warning because I made a telephone call. It was either last Tuesday or Wednesday. I made a telephone call in the morning, and I called the park, the Memorial Park in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, after 10 years has expanded. It was in 2009 whenever I got banded from the Oklahoma Memorial Park. So I thought, you know what? 10 years has passed. The 25-year anniversary is coming up. I'm still in favor towards defending the innocent, helping the victims. They're going to have another big run memorializing the 25th anniversary. Why not give them a call and see if the charges can be reversed? Kind of like a court order or getting a permit, a special permit. That was Wednesday morning. The woman that I talked to, the receptionist that worked for the park, said that the main people that worked at the park wasn't there, but that she would leave them a message. I waited, give or take, about 4 hours. I called back that afternoon. The same woman answered the phone again, the receptionist. She goes, wait just a minute. I believe they're up there now. So they transferred me to the main security that keeps the Park Service secure there in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, pertaining to the park. I talked to the individual, give or take maybe, couldn't have been over 5 minute conversation. I went ahead and gave him my name. I went ahead and gave him my email address. And his response was, well, let me do my dues and take this up to my bosses and find out where you stand, Mr. Jackson, and I'll be sure and contact you either by telephone or email and letting you know if the ban can be lifted. Well, that was either Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. May have been Thursday, but it was last week. Well, just a while ago, less than 30 minutes ago, an officer come to my presence here at 291 Thompson Road, expressing to me that if I wound up back in the park, on the park, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, that I would be arrested for criminal trespassing, and ain't no telling what else that they liable to wind up cooking up on me pertaining to planting explosives, either on me or on my truck, or trying to charge me for stalking. God only knows. I mean, the authorities can make up stuff. They can make up charges. You know, that's kind of like whenever you and me investigate them, we're stalking them. But whenever they do it to us, it's an investigation. It's an investigation if they do it, but if we do it to them, it's stalking. Thing about it is, I gave them a black eye. And I didn't give them a black eye because I had some sort of personal vendetta against the Oklahoma authorities pertaining to the governor or the assistant governor or the lieutenant governor or their state Oklahoma Senate. I didn't give them a black eye because I got some sort of personal vendetta. I brought transparency to what went on because it deserves to be looked upon towards the truth of what went on. And the fact of the matter is, the Ryder truck with 3,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate did not do that type of damage. And I just thought, out of Whistling Dixie, that I would give them a call. Well, they wanted to make sure that I got the message. In other words, a telephone call or sending me a text message wasn't going to be adequate. Sending me a letter, certified, to the point that I had to sign for a release before UPS or FedEx left, wasn't going to be good enough. They had to actually contact the Weakley County authorities, knowing where I live, knowing who I am, to bring an authority out here that the taxpayers of the state of Tennessee is paying for, the taxpayers of the state of Weakley County is paying for, people that pays taxes in the state of Tennessee, had to pay for this officer to come out here. And even though he didn't serve me a warrant, what he done was validate a warning in exchange by telling me that if I come back to that park, I would be arrested. No ifs, ands, question marks, no abbreviations, nothing. I would be arrested. So because of it, now I'm going to have to contact some attorneys in Oklahoma that I know and find out where I stand, because there's other things that I can do in exchange of going on to the park. Whenever they have the big run out there, I can help serve Kool-Aid, I can help serve drinks, I can help give water away. Usually it's hot by that time in April out there, or most of the time it is, sometimes it is. I can help assist with the runners towards how many's running. If they need any type of assistance by either working with a church group or working with some sort of other law enforcement or even an attorney group towards helping the people. That was the main primary purpose that I went out there to begin with, was to help to bring transparency towards what went on. Now, naturally, they're not going to own up to it, kind of like the JFK assassination, until maybe 50, 60 years on down the road. That way, won't nobody be affected directly pertaining to Janet Reno and Bill Clinton of what went on. Because if the truth be known, they probably should arrest the majority of the people that was involved in the Waco incident that led to the Oklahoma incident. They should probably arrest every one of them for entrapment, engaging in entirely too much force in what went on out in Mount Carmel, towards entrapping them people the way that they did by selling them guns that they never should have sold. And the explosive detonators that they found in the lower part of the basement proves my theory that yes, there was something inside that building that caused that building to be blown to smithereens that killed over 170 people that day. For them to come out here or send somebody out here speaks volumes about the occurrence. It speaks volumes where I stand with the officials in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Speaks volumes how they feel. Still to this day, 10 years later, on the 25th anniversary, how they feel about me and my transparency towards me bringing up the truth towards what had occurred. To this day. Now, the question is, who's holding old grudges? Who's holding vendettas? I don't think it'd be qualified as being me, because I ain't went back there. I've stayed out of that park since I know that I was banded. Just like I've stayed away from First Baptist Church up here in Martin since I've known that I was officially banded. Just like I've stayed out of Central Baptist Church since I've known that I was officially banded. Just like I have stayed away from other churches around here that I know that I was officially banded, including the churches down in Jackson, Tennessee, Second Baptist, First Baptist, seems like it was Calvary, and 2 or 3 others down there that basically initiated the same type of ban. Yep. So apparently America is still speaking out of both sides of its mouth. White man speaketh with forked tongue. They talk about transparency. They talk about the truth. But I really and truly believe that the majority of the people in America wouldn't know the truth if they was to stumble over it. So let's listen to some more horrendous stuff that's going on pertaining to the coronavirus that's just going to add that much more insult to misery to mankind. Let's back it up a little bit.
James Longman from...
Let's back it up just a little bit right there.
Trying to figure out who is patient zero, who brought it there. While here in the U.S., growing alarm, and now a number of communities saying, do not bring your patients to our hometowns. We're live on Wall Street tonight and overseas. James Longman from Italy now.
Fighting an invisible enemy. Tonight, the number of COVID-19 cases in the US climbing to 53 after tests confirm new cases among those former cruise ship passengers. It comes as towns fight plans to move infected patients into isolation in their communities. Frustration boiling over at this city council meeting in Anniston, Alabama.
It spreads from here, is going to spread everywhere else.
And a judge in California temporarily blocking the state from using a facility for infected patients in Costa Mesa.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's putting more people at risk.
And tonight, Italy, the latest front line in Europe's battle with the virus. 12 now dead in the north of the country, 229 infected. About 50,000 residents quarantined in their own homes.
This is the police line. Beyond here are the 12 towns that are on lockdown. And
how many did it say over in Italy? 250,000?
12 now dead in the north of the country, 229 infected. About 50,000 residents
50,000 quarantined. told not to move. Stay within your boundaries of your house. Do not leave. Do not come. Wow.
Quarantined in their own homes.
This is the police line. Beyond here are the
And it's saying there at the bottom, 50 plus U.S. corona cases here in the USA. Wow.
12 towns that are on lockdown. And take a look on Google Maps. You can see every way in is shut down.
As the hunt for patient zero continues, 23-year-old resident Rosella showed us her virtual ghost town.
There are brave people going around here and there. And look, you see the face mask?
The streets in Codogno, where residents are under red zone quarantine, are empty. The refrigerators at the local market bare.
As you
Looks eerie looking. Almost looks like I forgot now the name of the series now. Twilight Zone movie. Looks almost like a Twilight Zone movie. Looks eerie. Going into certain areas and there ain't nobody out on the streets.
can see, there's nothing there, almost nothing there.
Once more, these are all biblical Bible prophecies coming true that Christ warned us about and told us that was going to occur in the last days pertaining to major, major events that was going to be affecting humanity.
30 miles away in Milan, the country's finance and fashion capital, a sign of growing fear. Giorgio Armani's models walking the runway in a room full of empty chairs. And the global outbreak...
Wow, they didn't even have people to gleam and glory over them. To basically... I don't forgot the proper word that they call it now. Whenever you stare at a woman that way. More outbreaks. I think it's called gluttony. Gluttony? No, not gluttony. They got a word for it whenever you sit there and just stare at a person.
In Daegu, South Korea,
Other than the word lust.
our Ian Panel.
This hospital is now at the centre of the outbreak in South Korea. There are more than 200 patients inside and all of them have COVID-19. We've been here about an hour and we've seen almost 10 ambulances pull up with ever more patients.
Hundreds waiting for the face masks they hope will save them.
Wow.
So let's get to James Longman with us live in Italy. And James, I know that the real concern tonight, not only about the virus spreading in those towns that you've been reporting on in Italy, but really throughout Europe.
Yeah, that's right, David. And that's because Italy shares a border with a number of European countries. And here in Milan, public spaces are on lockdown, like the Duomo here behind me, libraries, universities, schools, authorities, really trying to make sure that the virus doesn't come here. David?
All right, James Longman in Italy tonight, Ian Panel from South Korea. Our thanks to you both. And we're going to move on now to those raising fears of a global economic slowdown and what we saw on Wall Street already today. Here's our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, tonight.
Tonight, those fears over the spread of the coronavirus sending the Dow plunging more than 1,000 points. Its worst day in 2 years. Stocks now negative for 2020. China, which produces about 25% of all the world's manufactured goods, an important hub for most major U.S. companies. With many Chinese factories now shuttered, American businesses feeling the squeeze, including tech companies like Apple, which assembles its iPhones in China, warning earlier this month of a temporary iPhone shortage and sales slowing there. And retailers like Nike, which produces about 25% of its shoes and apparel in China. Also hard hit, airlines like Delta, United, and American. The industry forecast to lose nearly $28 billion this year as consumers cut back on travel. The virus now spreading into it.
28 billion. B as a boy.
At least 32 countries worldwide, creating anxiety over the growing impact it could have on the global economy.
Until we get some clarity, we're going to continue to see this uncertainty and this volatility in our markets.
Could be a rough few weeks ahead. Rebecca Jarvis live on Wall Street tonight. And Rebecca, the fear on Wall Street, right really to Main Street, in fact, across this country. And you've heard from several small business owners throughout the country?
That's right, David. I've heard from a dozen American small business owners who manufacture their products in China and then sell them here, and they're worried because those factories in China have been shut for weeks with no signs of reopening, and they say that could ultimately cost U.S. jobs if this continues to last. David?
All right, Rebecca Jarvis live in Lower Manhattan tonight. Rebecca, thank you. And we're going to turn next here to the stirring memorial for Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna today. 20,000 mourners at the Staples Center in L.A. Vanessa Bryant delivering a heartbreaking eulogy to her husband and daughter, and an emotional Michael Jordan was right there to help her off the stage before he then offered his own tearful tribute. Our Tom Yamas is at the Staples Center tonight.
This guy can do everything.
Today, in the house he built, the crowd cheering his name one more time. More than 20,000 friends, fans, and legends of the game gathered to celebrate Kobe Bryant's life and the life of his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. The crowd growing silent as Vanessa Bryant took the stage, speaking publicly for the first time since her husband and daughter's death.
I won't be able to tell her how gorgeous she looks on her wedding day. I'll never get to see my baby girl walk down the aisle, have a father-daughter dance with her daddy. Kobe was the MVP of girl dads.
Sharing how she's coping with this unimaginable grief.
God knew they couldn't be on this earth without each other. He had to bring them home to heaven together. Babe, you take care of our Gigi. And I got Nani, Bibi, and Coco. We're still the best team.
NBA legend Michael Jordan walking Vanessa down from the stage in tears as well, drawing laughs at his own emotion.
Now he's got me. I'll have to look at another crime meme for the next. I told my wife I wasn't going to do this because I didn't want to see that for the next 3 or 4 years.
Then recalling the young star he mentored, who eventually became like family.
When Kobe Bryant died, a piece of me died. I promise you, from this day forward, I will live with the memories of knowing that I had a little brother that I tried to help in every way I could.
Los Angeles and the world saying goodbye tonight to numbers 2 and 24.
David, the event here.
And of course, what is today? Today is the second month, the 24th day, 2020. So it was well orchestrated and timed out. He will be missed. No doubt. As other famous celebrities that have had gifts, who's had talents, who have touched all of our lives, he will be missed. The worst thing about the ordeal was the children. I always have a special place in my heart for the loss of children's life. Kind of like what I was talking about a while ago pertaining to the Oklahoma incident. To see so many children be snatched out of the earth simply because of a vendetta that occurred down in Waco, Texas, and some unprofessionalism. It just goes beyond anything imaginable that I can ever even begin to fathom over a group of people that's supposed to be highly intelligent and professional that caused that type of episode to fall upon the innocent lives, not only in Mount Carmel pertaining to the Waco incident, but also caused what went on in Oklahoma. Because I still say to this day, first of all, they never should have entrapped them people the way that they did. And second of all, if they would have waited just a few more days, they would have come out with their hands on top of their heads because they was completely out of food, and it was just a matter of time before they was going to give up and surrender. If they would have waited during the 51-day standoff maybe 52 days, maybe 53 days, maybe 54 days. They've done already waited 51 days. Why not wait it out? See which way this thing was going to unfold, other than storming into the building and causing a barbecue the way that they did towards burning all them people up down there. And of course, 2 years to the date was whenever Timothy McVeigh and Nichols done what they done, which was another cruel, unhumane act towards blowing up the Ryder truck. But it wasn't the Ryder truck that actually done all the damage. That's the part the government's not talking about. Now, there's been other agencies that's looked into it, and there's been other private investigators that's come up with the same analogy of mine, that it had to have been something within the bottom corridor of the building. That bottom corridor of the building was about 4 boxes of dynamite that should have been used on the Davidians. It just so happens they got lucky on the 51 day and they didn't have to use it. The only problem was the people that brought the dynamite in never brought the dynamite out, and it turned into nitroglycerin. And whenever the explosion blowed up outside pertaining to the Ryder truck, explosion 1 caused explosion 2 to go off. That's the reason why they don't want me in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, is because they know that I know the truth. And they're not yet ready to face the truth after 25 years of a government cover-up. And it's sad. It's sad to the victims, and it's sad to the families of the victims, because they can't put solid, good closure on what occurred going on 25 years ago. So sad.
Staples Center sold out, 20,000 tickets sold. All the proceeds will promote the Mamba and Mambacita Sports Foundations, which help out youth sports. That was so close to Kobe's heart. It's how he and his daughter Gianna bonded, and the Bryants want other families to benefit from that as well. David?
Extraordinarily moving memorial today. Tom, thanks to you again tonight on this. We're to turn next year.
I watched the memorial. It was a moving memorial. Thanks again to my viewers. Good luck to all of us. And pray.